we had started last time that Yaakov Avinu wasn't well, and Yosef comes to visit him. And then Yaakov Avinu, 4 lines from the top, on page 270, 4 lines from the top. So it says like this, Ve'ata shnei banecha hanolodim lecha be'eretz Mitzrayim, your 2 sons born in Egypt, lihem, I'm taking them, Ephraim u'Menashe keRuven v'Shimon Yuli. Ephraim and Menashe will be like Ruvain and Shimon. 4 lines from the top on page 270. Ephraim and Menashe will be like Ruvain and Shimon. And then the next pasuk he says, Umoladetecha, 6 lines, 7 lines from the top. Umoladetecha, asher holadeta achreim, children that you will have subsequent to them, lechayu, those will be your children, al shem achehem yikuru b'nachalasam, they will be called by the names. They will go by the names of their brothers in their portion. I'm just translating very, very literally. So the question is, what does that mean? I am taking Ephraim and Menashe, and the other children are going to be yours. The subsequent children, page 270 here. The subsequent children will you. What does that mean? I'm taking Ephraim and Menashe. Yaakov Avinu over here doesn't mean he's taking them, but Yosef's children. He says, the children born before I got to Egypt, Ephraim and Menashe, those children I'm taking for myself. Meaning, Yaakov Avinu had been promised by God that one of the tribes is going to be split into 2. And it seems, based on the Rashi's approach, certainly, that was up to Yaakov's discretion. He says, I'm giving you that gift. And there we don't have a Shevet Yosef. You'll never find in the Torah, it doesn't say Shevet Yosef. It says, from the Shevet Yosef, from Ephraim by the spies, it says, and of the son of the tribe of Yosef, Ephraim and Menashe, but he's not the tribe. Ephraim is a tribe and Menashe is a tribe. So the way you end up with 12 tribes instead of 13, you often end up still with 12 tribes, is because Shevet Levi, which is where the Kohanim come from, which is my tribe, the Shevet Levi is also generally not included in various things that they do. So you end up with 12. Levi and Yosef are out, Ephraim and Menashe are in, even though they're actually 13. And what's really remarkable is, in Judaism, that we spoke about Hanukkah, how every month is parallel to one of the tribes. And isn't it interesting that you have, is it 12 tribes or it's 13 tribes? You got this 12, 13, and even in the Jewish year, you sometimes have 12 months and sometimes you have 13 months. Right, so that the tribes also, the same uncertainty that you have with the tribes, the same element of uncertainty, you have the same element of uncertainty with the months themselves. That's the parallel of the tribes to the months. Okay, be that as it may. The question the commentaries ask here is that Yaakov makes it very clear. He says, your 2 children, and back on the 4th line, he says, your 2 children who were born in the land of Mitzrayim before I arrived, Ephraim and Menashe, I'm taking them. What's the connection between the fact that Ephraim and Menashe were born in Egypt before Yaakov Avinu came, and that's somehow connected to why he selects them as the 2 who are now each one becomes his own unique tribe, his own tribe, as opposed to being in Shevet Yosef? Why does he dafka pick those 2? Why does Yaakov Avinu select Ephraim and Menashe? Somehow, the qualification being, they were born in Egypt before I arrived in Egypt. It's somehow, thank you very much, somehow that creates by Yaakov Avinu the either qualification or the desire to make them the ones who become the next tribe. Why? So the pasuk says like this, Ateres Zekenim B'nei Vanim, the crown of the elders are their grandchildren. V'tiferes banim, and the pride of the children, what should the next word be? Right, but it doesn't say that. It says the pride of the children are their parents, their fathers.
So the fathers are usually referred to as not just dad, but grandfather.
Okay, but you see, you have a lack of symmetry here. You have a lack of symmetry, an inconsistency in the symmetry. The pride of the crown of the grandfather is his grandchildren. The pride of the son is his father. Why? Why is there? Okay. So commentaries, the standard explanation is like this. I'm sure there are more explanations. It's Shlomo HaMelech's wisdom. The standard explanation is like this. When do you as a parent, I think we've mentioned this in the past, when do you as a parent know you've succeeded in transmitting the values to your children? When do you know that you've succeeded in genuine? When you see, that's right. What your children do, it doesn't mean anything because, I shouldn't say it doesn't mean anything. What your children do can often be, certainly when they're under your control, that's just because they're intimidated. If your kid is 14 and he's putting on tefillin, that's because, you're getting a whop by dad if he doesn't. But when your child has children, and he's raising them the way you raised your son, that means you succeed. That means you instill the values accurately. Because now he's on his own. He doesn't have to do it. To the contrary, I've seen people break away. I've seen people make a very clear point to their parent. The heartbreak is what do you call it? Heartbreak for a parent. If your children don't do what you want, which is always the case, but if your children don't follow your path, your grandchildren are raised there because the grandchildren is really like, okay, now we're playing for keeps. I've even met Bali Chuvas, whose parents have given the Baal Tshuva a hard time. The guy became a Baal Tshuva. His parents are secular. But when the grandchildren come along, the parents melt. The parents melt. Hey, that's my grandson. Pay us or no pay us. That's our grandson. The grandson melts you. Right? Your kids, especially the father, you're the disciplinarian. My grandsons, I spoil them like crazy. My grandson, as soon as they start crying, I just give them to my daughter or my son. They take the kid, he's crying. But until that point, hey, I remember my son once said, one of my kids said, "Wow, it must have been really fun being raised by Bubby and Zeta, by my parents." He said it must have been really fun by being raised by Bubby and Zeta because they always give us candy and money. I said, hey kid, money was non-existent and candy was a close second. Oh sure, that's all I got was candy and money. My life. It doesn't work that with parents. With the grandchildren, you just dump all the good on the grandchildren. So they'll think. What does a son pride himself on? A son points up, say, that's my father, he's the CEO. That's my father, he's the Rosh Yeshiva. That's my father. The son, when it comes to the pride, going up that way, who do you brag? If your father is something you want to brag, hey, that's my father. You ride on your father's coattails. But when it's the grandfather sees the success in his effort with his children, that's evident in the grandchildren. Yaakov Avinu comes along and says, listen, you raised Ephraim and Menashe in Egypt before I got there. What happened with the subsequent children once I've arrived in Egypt, that doesn't prove anything because I'm around now. But what you did, you raised them before I arrived in Egypt, that's evidence that you are still mirroring the chinuch that I gave you. And therefore, Ephraim and Menashe occupy a special place in Yaakov Avinu's heart because that shows and that ratifies that the chinuch that he instilled in Yosef, chinuch means the training, the way you train him, the chinuch he instilled in Yosef, that's real chinuch. And that is 100% true. What can I tell you? That's 100% true. Because you see people who the grandchildren, they'll go in the opposite direction with the grandchildren. They'll give them, let their hair grow a little bit longer, not dress them in the regular Haredi black way, all because they want to show the parents that we're not, we'll be our own man. Thank you, as opposed to doing it exactly, thinking to yourself, what would my parents be happy with? What do my parents want? How do my parents want me to raise this child? That's the way to go. I saw a line. I saw a great line. This daughter-in-law says to her mother-in-law, I'd say this, the daughter-in-law says to her mother-in-law, hey mom, do me a favor, don't tell me how to raise my children. I'm married to one that you raised and you didn't do such a great job. That's a terrific line. In any event, that's the what do you call it? That's why Yaakov Avinu has this place in his heart for Ephraim and Menashe. Okay, now in Pasuk Ches, he sees Yosef's children, or he senses Yosef's children are there. And then take a look at Pasuk Yud, 4 lines to the bottom of the page. Ve'enei Yisrael kavdu mizoken. Yaakov's eyes were heavy from old age. Remember, right now he's about 147. Lo yuchal liros. He cannot see them. Vayagesh osam elov. Yosef brings the children near to Yaakov. Vayishak lahem vayichabek lahem. He kisses them and he hugs them. So there's somebody named Rabbi Shalom Garfinkel, who was once a student here, who's now involved in outreach in Chicago. So he once said, it's such a beautiful insight if you understand in the truth. It's so true. Every generation has trouble. This is obviously not the plain meaning of the pasuk, but it's certainly a life lesson that comes out of the pasuk. Every generation, your parents, your grandparents were more or less clueless about your parents' world. And some of your parents, I imagine, were children of the 60s. Right, which means everyone was clueless. in that world. Nobody understood the people of the '60s. They was the most mishuggah decade in the United States, right? Their parents, what kind of mishugas is this? You walk around with, do your own thing, man. That was the motto of the hippies. Do your own thing, man. And I remember I was a little kid at the time. Do your own thing, man. As long as your own thing is having long, straggly hair and filthy blue jeans. Do your own thing, man. As long as your own thing is our thing, right? Do your own thing, man. And that was the irony of the hippies. You walk around, I am doing my own thing. I walk around with a three-piece suit and a tie. Well, you're square. You're square. That was the hippies. Yeah, they used to go into supermarkets. They used to go to supermarkets. They were against it. They would steal, so they would shoplift. But they didn't shoplift. They liberated the jar of peanut butter, right, from the establishment. We're liberating a brick of cheese, right? That was the and do your own thing, man. Do your own thing. As long as it's my thing, then it's your own thing. Otherwise, you're square. And you hear the internal contradiction. And all the hippies, all the guys, the Jewish guys, obviously, right? Abby Hoffman, Jerry, what's his name? Abby Hoffman, Jerry, what's his name? All Jews, right? And eventually they became, what do you call it? In their 40s, they thought corporate executives, three-piece suits, the usual, the transformation. They matured. That's what happened. But their parents didn't understand them. And your parents don't understand you. And I don't understand my kids. And my parents certainly didn't understand me. Again, there's a certain level of understanding, but you're living a different. My music, my father used to roll his eyes when he'd hear our music, and I roll my eyes when I hear my kids' music. It's the same eye rolling, And what happens is there's a certain lack of connection. And when it comes to grandparents, they're absolutely clueless. My wife still has to get my daughter, my 13-year-old, to come into the room to help to turn on the computer for her. Just to turn it on. She needs my daughter to turn it on. They say every new piece of equipment now comes along. It comes with an 11-year-old child to help you learn how to run it. Right? Every new computer comes with an 11-year-old, packed with an 11-year-old child. I don't know what's going on there. I've called my daughter in to help me out. I've called her to help me out, get me out of there. I'm stuck. It keeps out capital letters, and I need regular print. How do you do it? Daddy, boom, it's a button, which was non-existent 5 minutes earlier. Boom, there you are. So Yaakov Avinu is teaching us a life lesson. He's the grandfather. These are the grandchildren. Ve'enei Yisrael kavdu mizoken. His eyes are heavy with it. He can't see them. He can't see them. So the plain meaning is he can't see them physically. But at a different level, he can't see them. I don't know where you're coming from, guy. I don't know what kind of mishigas you're up to. I don't know where you're holding. There's one thing that keeps the offspring near. He hugs them and he kisses them. You give them love. You love them. Cords of love. Bonds of love. That's what works. People ask me all the time, raising children, how do you raise your children? What do you do in the home? What are the secrets of success of parents with children, raising children who are going to follow your path? The secret of success is that you got to love your kids and make sure the kids know it. Doesn't mean you got to be huggy, kissy. It means that the kids have to know that you're living for your children. If you're living for your children basically do anything you want. They'll basically follow your path. They'll give you a hard time. They'll turn you gray prematurely, especially to girls. They'll do that. But at the end of the day, they'll stay loyal to you because that's what they crave most of all. And therefore, if you convey that to the children, I heard about a kid whose father, told me, kid here in North America, he said his father was a horrible father who was a lawyer billing at $600 an hour. He was working for a firm that he was billing at $600 an hour, which is more than the teachers at Or Sameach make. And yeah, I'm telling you, no, really, it really is. Per month, and he's billing at $600 an hour. That wasn't his main source of income. His main source of income was real estate. The kid told me his father was a horrific father. Didn't know the first thing about raising him. The kid told me that. The kid had been religious. He was off. He was into drugs, into everything. He told me he once walked up to his father. He slammed a $20 bill down on the table. He said, "Hey, Dad, can I talk to you for 7 minutes?" That's not something you want to hear from your kid. It's just not something you want to hear from your kid. I heard about another kid who was about 17 years old. He stole the afikomen at the Pesach Seder. So, his father's looking for the afikomen. Kids take the afikomen, the matzah, the piece of hidden pizza matzah. He's 17 years old. He took the afikomen. So, okay, the house full of guests. His father sees, "Where's my afikomen?" The kid says, "Here it is, Dad." He says, "Okay, what do you want? What kind of car do you want?" I'm 17-year-old. He says, "Dad, I want one thing." He gets up, he bursts into tears, he says, "Right now in front of everybody, for the first time in my life, I want you to give me a hug." That's real bad. That's not what you want to hear in front of a house full of guests. Right? So that's what the kids need. That's what the kids need. Yeah, no. And if the kids sense, it's not a question of how much time you put into them, as much as they sense that if you could, you would. You're living for the kids. That's the most important thing. Is the hardest thing. It's hard. Some kids that could be very unlikable. You love them, but I don't like them. You can be very unlikable. That's what you got to go in the opposite. Somebody once asked me, "How did my wife and I punish? What kind of punishments do we give our kids?" So we looked at it. I don't remember. I don't think I ever punished them. Once in a while, I give my boys a potch once in a while because they did something. I got to get them under control. I never gave them an active punishment because they'll need to punish. Because if a kid does something wrong, more important than being a punishment is figure out why is he doing that. What's bothering the kid that made him do that to his teacher in school? Why did you put glue on the Rebbe's seat? Right, or worse, why did you do that? I just want to know what you were thinking when you did it. So the kid says, "No, I just was mischievous." Okay, that you're going to have to get punished for, and that we can't have unless the kid says he's never going to do it again. I can't. I was in day school. You want to hear that amazing story? I was in day school, and I was in fourth grade. I was 9 years old. So the eighth graders made a siyum. They finished something. When you make a siyum, you make a party. So the custom when you finished a parsha, you made a siyum. They made a plate. Every kid brought something. One kid brought cake, one brought potato chips, one brought drinks, that sort of thing. So the custom of the school was they bring in a plate with all sorts of goodies. They would give it to the Rebbe of each group, of each class. So I'm sitting in class. We're in fourth grade, and the door opens, and these two eighth graders come in. They put this plate of goodies down on the table, and they walk out. So one of the kids in the class looks at the Rebbe, and he goes, "Are you going to share that with us?" And the Rebbe, the Rebbe first looked at it. The Rebbe goes like this, "Yum yum yum." He just made it. I made it. So the kid looks, "Are you going to share that with us?" And the Rebbe just joking. He goes, "Nope, it's all for me." And the kid looks at him and goes, "You pig." Like that. Now, I remember as he said that one syllable word stretched out, because as he's saying it, because that's what follows when you say you, that's what follows naturally, and you can't believe he's going to say it, and as he's saying it, you're saying to yourself, no, I don't, he's not saying this to the Rebbe, and he said it, and there is absolute silence, and when you hear a pin drop, we're just like, and you're just wondering which one of the four forms of capital punishment is going to be applied now, and there's like a silence in the room, and all of a sudden the kid, you hear, he goes, I'm sorry, and the Rebbe goes, Chaim apologized, he didn't mean it when he said it, therefore there's not going to be a punishment. And you hear go, the whole class. And I remember at 9 years old thinking to myself, that was the right call. That was a good call on the Rebbe's part. There's no need for a punishment there. Well, the kid going to go around doing that? The kid going to spend his whole life calling people pigs, right? He's not going to do that. He's not going to do that. And therefore, when it comes to raising children, sometimes parents overreact. The kid says a bad word in the house, right? Often parents overreact. Mommy, you're a poopy. Don't you say that word? Tickle goes flying off. My goodness, what kind of criminal have we got in the house over here? What are we raising over? What kind of that sort of thing. And it's the biggest mistake. That there are parents who they were parents. I don't know. They were parents who used to wash their kids' mouths out with soap, which was a minhag that started in the time of the Spanish Inquisition, and then it just carried on into. First of all, if you must wash your kid's mouth out with soap, do it for speaking lashon hara, because that's more likely to continue in life. The same kid, when he's 23 and he's sitting across a girl at a table on a shidduch, he's not going to look at her and say, "Oh, by the way, you're a poopy." That's just not going to happen. That's not number one. It's an overreaction, and all that happens is you've reinforced in the kid. What you say to the kids, listen, a mensch doesn't talk like that in the house. And if the kid persists, you take the kid, okay, you're going in your room. It's not a punishment. I just can't have you out in public with everybody else. So stay in your room until you can behave like a mensch. It's not a punishment per se. I need to apply pain. It's, you can't be out there with it. You've shown you can't be out there with everybody else. I'll put you in your room. It's consequences of your action, not a punishment per se. But that's what that's what they need more than anything else. Okay. So Yaakov Avinu then says like this, 2 lines from the bottom. Vayomer Yisrael el Yosef, Ra'of anecha lo filalti, I never imagined I would see your face. V'hinei hera osi Elokim gam ezarecha, God has shown me your offspring. Not only I never thought I'd see you, but I've even seen you and your offspring. Vayotze Yosef osa be'im birkav. Yosef takes them out from near Yaakov, from between his knees. Vayishtachu la'arpav arza. He bows down. Vayikach Now pay attention very carefully to the next 3 or 4 psukim because you're going to be challenged. It's going to be a tough little challenge here. Vayikach Yosef es shnehem. Yosef takes the two of them. Es Ephraim biyamino. He takes Ephraim in his right hand. Mismol Yisrael, to the left of Yaakov Avinu. Ve'es Menashe bismolo. He takes Menashe in his left hand, which is miyamin Yisrael, to the right of Yaakov Avinu. Right, whatever you are is the opposite of the person you're bringing them to. Vayagesh Elav, and he brings the children to him because he wants a bracha. And we see that in Torah. We've seen several times that brachas are a big deal. Yaakov himself, who went and made every effort to get the bracha from Yitzchak. Vayishlach Yisrael es yamino, 4th line. Yaakov extends his right hand. Vayoshes al rosh Ephraim. He puts it on the head of Ephraim, v'hu hatzoir. He's the younger one. Ve'es smolo al rosh Menashe, and the left hand on the head of Menashe. Sikel es yadav, that's commonly translated as he crossed his hands, but the word sikel comes from the Hebrew word sechel, which is intelligence, that he acted intelligently in doing this. Ki Menashe habechor, because Menashe is the firstborn. So what does he do? Yaakov Avinu, Yosef brings Ephraim is here and Menashe is here. What does Yaakov Avinu do? He crosses over his hands. Why? Because Menashe is the older one. Anybody have a problem with that pasuk? If somebody would ask you, why, you know the story. Why did Yaakov cross his hands? What's the answer to that? Because he wanted to get his right hand, which is the barba, on Ephraim's head. So why does the Torah say, well, he crossed his hand because Menashe is the older one? It should say he crossed his hands because Ephraim is the younger one, and he wanted to get his right hand to Ephraim. What was the goal here? Was the goal to avoid giving the bracha to Menashe with the right hand? Or the goal was to get that right hand to Ephraim? What was the goal? Get the right hand right. So why does the Torah say he crossed his hands because Ephraim is the younger one? This way. Why doesn't the Torah describe? You're absolutely right. Why doesn't the Torah describe it your way? He crossed his hands because Ephraim was the younger one, which is what he really wanted to do. That was the goal of the thing. It was a goal to avoid Menashe. Menashe gets a bracha. Okay, so the commentary says like this. You see, what's the alternative here? What would the alternative be? Assuming that's what Yaakov Avinu wants to do. He wants to give Ephraim the bracha with the right hand. What's the alternative over here? No. Assuming he doesn't mind, but he wants to give the right hand on Ephraim, left hand on Menashe. But he's not going to cross his hands. So what's the alternative? Switch them around. Right. Oh, but if you switch them around, that's going to be very, very embarrassing for Menashe. Hey guys, you're standing in a row. It's like going in shul, sitting down in a seat towards the front. No, the front is reserved for important people. Could you move to the back, please, sir? All right. That's going to be embarrassing for Menashe. Oh, so the Torah is answering the question. The Torah says he crossed his hands. That right there, you should insert a question. Why did he cross his hands? Why didn't he just have the boys switch places? The answer to that is because Menashe is the Bechor, and he doesn't want to embarrass him. He doesn't want to move Menashe over because it's going to be embarrassing. Yeah, imagine you're in a wedding or you're in a what do you call it? You're in a some sort of celebration. So a lot of people are milling around, right? Now you could say to a guy, right? You walk up to and he's a friend of yours, and you're a good guy if he's a friend. You have to be a friend to do this. You say to the guy, by the way, your zipper is open. The guy's in public. Your zipper is open. Now that's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Anybody who's been there, as if nobody noticed or nobody saw, right? The alternative is say, hey, can I talk to you a second outside? And you pull him outside of the hall where nobody's around, your zipper's open. That's less embarrassing. Either way, he's going to be embarrassed. Either way, he's going to feel bad. There's certain situations in life where either way, it's not going to work out well over here, right? If somebody needs somebody's going to be demoted at work, or somebody's going to be fired. I could fire you in public, or I could fire you in private. Which would you prefer? Right? Definitely in private, right? So I want to minimize it. It's not going to be fun anyway. It's not going to be pleasant. I want to minimize it as much as possible. So Yaakov has two choices. I could either cross my hands, or I could just say, hey guys, do you mind switching places? Which makes it even more blatant. Therefore, Yaakov chooses that. That's what the Torah is answering. Why didn't he do the logical thing that most of us would have done? Okay.
Favoring Ephraim.
Oh, why he's favoring Ephraim? Good question. He's favoring Ephraim because he sees in the future that first of all, Rashi said Ephraim was the one who studied Torah with him. Menashe was the one who was running the public. He was the political activist on behalf of the Jewish people, which is very, very important. Like we have from members of the Knesset here in Israel, religious representatives of the Knesset here in Israel, right? A religious representative. Now they're very important people. They're very, very important people. They're doing a tremendous thing for Jewish people. But the person who's the Talmud Chacham is more significant. Thank you very much. The Talmud Chacham is more important. That's the crowning achievement. Menashe, you're an activist on behalf, you're a lobbyist and an activist, you're doing tremendous things for the Jewish people. But Ephraim is the Rosh Yeshiva. Ephraim has a higher stature. And therefore, Ephraim is the one he's going to give the bracha to. Yosef then says to Yaakov like this, Vayivarech es Yosef, vayomar ha'elokim asher hisholchu avosai lefanav Avram v'Yitzchak, ha'elokim haroa osi, the God who has shepherded me, me'odi ad hayom hazeh, hamalach hagoel osi mikol ra, the angel who has saved me from all, has protected me, yivarech es ha'ne'arim, he shall bless the lads, v'yikarim v'hem shemi v'shem avosai Avraham v'Yitzchak, they shall go ascribe to them my name and the name of my fathers. V'yidgu l'rov b'kerev ha'aretz. This is the point. There's a lot here. I can't discuss the whole thing. I want to get to this last line of what he says. V'yidgu l'rov b'kerev ha'aretz. What is the word v'yidgu? What do you hear in the root of the word v'yidgu? Dug. Right? It's a fish. Right? We don't have a word. How does the Art Scroll translate? I'm always amused. They shall proliferate abundantly like fish, which in Hebrew is in one word, v'yidgu. Takes 4 words in English to translate it, v'yidgu. If we wanted one word in English, we'd say they should fishify. That would be how we would translate it. They should fishify. Right? Which is what? To proliferate abundantly like fish, because fish proliferate abundantly. There are lots of fish. Right? The fish got a special blessing at the time of creation that there should be that they should be abundant because man hunts fish. They fish them out of the oceans. Nowadays, the techniques have gotten so efficient. No pun intended. They've been the techniques in fishing are so efficient. They spread these humongous nets in the ocean. They just drop these nets and they trap the fish in certain areas where they know they can't within. Then they just raise up these nets, and it's like taking a whole handful of popcorn out of the bag. You know, it's not even took away the challenge of going out and actually fishing or spearing them or take what do you call it. They scoop them out so much that they talk about fish species that are going what's the word, extinct. They're extinct because they could just, they're clearing them out. They raise them in fish farms, and they have all sorts of ways of but the fish got a special brother. Fish have fish, and they just have lots of them, just lots and lots of fish. So what happens is like this. The bracha is to Ephraim and Asher, they should fishify. V'yidgu l'rov, b'kerev ha'aretz. B'kerev ha'aretz, the arts go translate within the land. Now that right there sounds like a somewhat of a contradiction in terms. Yeah. They should, go ahead, Max.
Why couldn't it say be like rabbits on the land? Because rabbits are on land,
Fish are in the water. Very good. Max, very good. Very good. In other words, you got to contradict. They should be like fish on the land. Okay, so the plain answer to that is the Jewish people should increase abundantly like fish, but circumstances are such that we live on the land. We don't live in the water. Okay, but there's more to it than that. Obviously. Why? Yeah. Okay. Rabbits are still as good as rabbits are. They're not fish, right? But what's that?
Like it's unique or something special.
Oh. Very good. First of all, you see like this. Have you ever like in a moment like you're sitting on a bus or in a shear or sometime where you're just spacing out, and you're wondering what it would be like to be a bird? You ever wonder about that? I'm sure you have. Come on, you could fess up. I have, so you probably have. I wonder what it'd be like to, you even find yourself doing like this, wondering is it like this or is it like this? Is there wrist movement? Is there follow through? I wonder how it works over there to be a bird. They say once in a while, you might flap your wings. You ever wonder what it's like to be a fish? I'm sure you have. I wonder what it's like to breathe water. And you just start thinking about it. You actually get yourself coughing, thinking about what it's like to be a fish. Right? I mean, we're strange. Human beings are strange. We do these things to ourselves, right? And I was like, you wear my gills. I'm not sure exactly how this works. And you think what it's like to be a fish, right? And the bottom line is I could relate to being a bird. As a matter of fact, I don't tell anybody. This is just between you, us, and whoever's watching on film. I'm just telling you this. If I had to come back as a wildlife creature, I've read the statistics. I would not want to come back as a rabbit. Rabbits are way low on the survival scale. Rabbits don't do well. I would want to be an eagle. I think eagles do pretty well. You know, they're not intimidated by any other birds. And yeah, I mean, you got to get really motivated to go hunt an eagle, right? And you get to fly around all day. It's good to be an eagle. I think that would be my choice. So a rhino is also good. I don't think anybody messes with rhinos except that they hunt them for their tusks. So they're extinct species. So that's a problem. But as far as being in the jungle, you're good if you're a rhino. If you're a rabbit, you got some issues. Right? You need counseling. So the what do you call it? And shrouds. So fish. There's an element of fish. I can imagine being a bird. I can't imagine being a fish. I can imagine being a bird. I can't imagine being. It's so far removed from our mindset to breathe water. You're in a completely different environment. I could be an astronaut. I could be a bird. I could be a reptile. I can't be a fish. I'm not breathing. My most basic human function, which is breathing, I can't do it. That's completely gone. Okay, number one. Number two, when you're standing by a pond, you see the fish swimming around. Do you have any idea what's going on in the world of fish? What are you thinking? And like, what do you do on your off day? You know, there are a lot of, we ponder these things. What do fish do like when they want to chill? You know, how do they eat anyway? You know, and why don't they have glasses? You know, all these questions that we ponder about fish. I have no idea. I see them, you know, they kind of, you know, move around. And my poor goldfish, you know, Jewish goldfish always died prematurely because they were always overfed. You know, you feed goldfish leftover cholent, their history. It just doesn't last as long. They're always, you just wake up and they're always floating on their side. You know, the Jews killed them. You gave them the leftover Shabbos kugel, you know, they're gone. And the goldfish eat themselves to death. They do. So fish are, now, the Jews, this goes to Max's question, we live on land. We live among all the other nations. The nations look at us, the nations see us. We look just like them. We have 2 ears, we have a nose, we have eyes, we have a mouth. We go to work, we talk, we eat, everything. Do they have any idea what's going on in a Torah lifestyle? Could they possibly imagine? I think the most pronounced example of this is when they had that big demonstration in, what's that City Park Field? What's it called? City Field Park or whatever it is. Yeah, what's it? City Field. They had, what was it, 50,000 people in a rally against technology a couple of years ago. From 50,000 from people in a rally against technology. Do you think anybody in the world could imagine, where are you coming from and what's your problem looking at a commercial where a woman is more or less wearing clothing? I mean, well, what's so bad? Where are you coming from that you have separate buses in the 20th century? Where are you coming? You have a Daf Yomi celebration, 100,000 people at a Daf Yomi celebration all over Madison Square Garden and the other in New Jersey with hookups. And then George Bush, the second George Bush Jr. So he was talking to somebody. He said, "What's going on there?" He said, "Well, they're celebrating the completion of the Talmud." Can you imagine a massive celebration because they figured, you know, all the law students in the country just finished their legal books, so they're having a siyum. Who ever heard of a siyum? What's a siyum? What is the concept? You finished the book, so there's a celebration. I mean, I read Harry Potter. We didn't make a siyum. All the Potternicks, whatever they did to each other, they never made a siyum because they finished it. They see us. They see what a Shabbos is. Do you think they could really imagine what a Shabbos is? They see us. They're watching us. We're like them. We breathe. And they have no idea. They know about as much as we understand a Jewish world as we understand fish. And therefore, v'yidgu l'rov b'kereva ha'aretz. They should be abundant, and they'll be in the midst of the land, which answers why they're not in water. They're going to be living on land among people, among other human beings, and they're going to be as incomprehensibly perceived by other people as we incomprehensibly perceive fish. That's what he said. V'yidgu l'rov b'kereva ha'aretz. It's a beautiful idea because it's so true. I know whenever I'm in a situation when a secular Jew starts, so sometimes you're sitting on the plane next to a secular Jew, and you have a conversation with them and try to present them Yiddishkeit, this and the other. I've been on planes where a non-Jew starts asking me questions about Judaism. First of all, we don't actively proselytize. I'll answer a couple of polite questions. If he would ask me, can you explain what Talmud Bavli is about? Do you know how long it would take to explain to somebody who knows nothing? It would take me 3 weeks. You have to go from the beginning of Judaism get into the idea that we are the chosen people, which is never popular, never a good subject, always a good subject to avoid with other nations, right? And then try to get, you understand, I haven't got the energy, and you still wouldn't understand. When they told George Bush that 100,000 people celebrated the Siyum Hashas, he said, why weren't there more? That was his reaction. Right? He thought it was really neat. He thought, hey, that's neat. Neat. It was neat. By us, it's the air that we breathe. By him, it was neat. You understand? They can't possibly understand. Can't possibly understand. That's what Yidgelu B'Kar. Okay. All right, gentlemen, we'll continue tomorrow.